Welcome to the Uplift, where we are uplifting our lives, uplifting each other, and uplifting our communities together. Thank you for joining myself, Sai Herrera, and Tessa Savala here, two women, two attorneys, doing it our way, and inviting you here each week to share in on the stories, advice, and life lessons we've picked up along our journeys that keep us uplifted, and that will hopefully do the very same thing for you. Now buckle in and let's get ready to be uplifted.
Hello, everyone. As always, I am Tessa, and I am joined by the amazing Breath of Sunshine. Wait, not Breath of Sunshine. Look at me messing up American idioms. Ray of Sunshine. Majestic creature, Sigh.
I feel like Breath of Sunshine could be a thing.
It should be, right? Like, having learned English for somebody who doesn't speak English, my mom was very good at mixing up
Love it.
idioms. One
Love
of hers was arrowhead instead of airhead. And I was like, doesn't that kind of mean that like their brain is sharp if you say yes, they have an arrowhead?
It's just a creative spin on it. I love it. I mean, I'm having visualizations of like being outside in the sun now, taking deep breaths out in nature. Oh, feels so good. And I'm so grateful to be able to talk to such a brilliant being like you every time, Tessa. So thank you for being here with me.
Oh, that warms my heart. It is the end of November for us, and which means holidays are in full gear from,
Mhm.
I can't even use the Thanksgiving words anymore. We celebrated from an indigenous standpoint, and
Yes.
we, my husband's indigenous cultural food, because that's just like, this feels weird now to me, but
Mhm.
that is obviously a me thing. It's very popular. Otherwise,
I'm
but
with you.
I feel like this is the time of year when all of the expectations that society in the United States places upon us, right? Like all these Black Friday sales, and everybody has to
Mhm.
have their table just perfect and their decorations and have to outdo what you did before. Like it's a competition, and I do not
Mm.
know who people are competing with, but apparently
Mm.
they are. But it made me think of this video I saw of French people talking about how they define success. And for them, at least the people who are speaking, was that it is how much time do you have to do the things you love and spend time with people that you love. And I'm like,
Mm.
wow,
I
so
am failing
different.
hard.
So different than like, hey, success is your job
I love
title,
it.
your
It makes
salary.
sense. That makes
Yeah,
so much sense though, because it's like that's the luxury lifestyle, really. Like it truly is. I feel like I mean,
absolutely.
just when you said that, it opened up a whole thought bubble for me of like the United States has like PR'd our way into this, like this whole other thing, like this whole other idea of like success of like this person working constantly and like making so much like that is a trick. Like this is a lie. Like I want to live like the French people. My God, like that is that's such a that's such a breath of fresh air. I love it.
But doesn't the like, I guess we'll call it the American way here,
Mhm.
fall into something that you described to me recently, which is society is holding us down by convincing us that that's what we need to be doing, right? That we need
Yes.
to be in the office 15 hours a day, at least for those of
Mhm.
us who, went through law school and thought that was actually what life was. And we were looking
Even
forward to it. Like, how did they convince us to look
yes.
forward to
This
this?
was our dream. Like, oh my God, literally this weekend, my niece was over, or this week, and I was looking at like my entire row of blazers, and I was like, if you have any reason to need a blazer, like just take them, take all of them. Like, I
Mm.
gave away my suits, and I was like, this is so representative of me, of like when I thought I wanted to even be a lawyer. And I'm like, I don't want that anymore. I have no desire. Like that was such a fallacy, like for me. For other
Yeah.
people, that's literally their dream, and it makes sense for them. But like, and it was my dream at one point too, until I found out what it was really about. And so the idea of things versus the reality of things is so
Yeah.
different sometimes, right? And then on top of that, being a young person at that time, like, when you're deciding to even go to law school, usually like you're, still early in your life, like, do you even know who you are or what you really want yet? Like, or what you want for, different decades of your life? I mean, we're all just, morphing and growing and evolving organisms. So I just feel like there's so many chapters to life, and that one feels like it's one that I'm okay with closing now.
You made such a great point about how young we are when we're trying to make these
Mm,
decisions.
mm.
I think I think I was 20 when I was applying at law school.
Wow. Wow,
And so
that
it's
seems like
like,
such a baby age
so,
now. Oh my
right? Doesn't
God.
it?
Yes.
I didn't know enough to make these decisions.
No, girl, I didn't. I mean, no. Just no.
And I don't think 20-year-olds have evolved more than we were evolved. But maybe a bit,
Well, they
and that
have the internet, so I
they
don't know.
do.
Like they're on a whole different tip, and so, hopefully they're figuring out things sooner than later because yeah, you can spend a whole lot of time, energy, and money on a thing that, you're not necessarily going to do. Now, I can't say that law school was like the worst decision ever. It's definitely gotten me in ways, where I am today. And that's, it's just like we talk about, like there's a traditional path and there's a non-traditional path. And then there's like, and the way I see it, honestly, even for lawyers who end up in quote unquote traditional roles, every lawyer that I've ever talked to that is like doing something that I admired or thought was cool, even when I was in law school, they all had like these winding paths. And it was
Yeah,
never like a straight linear thing, anyways. And that's the other big lie I think that we absorb, especially as young people, is like there's a line that you walk. It's, like kindergarten through high school, then to college, then to this, and then to that. Like, no, it just that's just wildly inaccurate. I think that that's just literally an attempt to help, to try to get people to walk that path. But I mean, it's just not realistic. It's not the human.
I completely agree. And I agree. I loved law school. Well, after the
Mhm.
first year, I loved law school. I think the education was incredible and it has
Yeah.
done wonders for my career. But the idea of traditional practice of law,
Mhm.
eh, hard pass for me. But that's me and my personality and what I want, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to be
Yeah.
able to spend an evening in my garden, not at the office until like 8 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes you think about like that whole culture, because it is that, right?
Yeah.
Like it is a culture. Like, why is that the culture? I wonder if lawyers are the same in France. Like, do they
Doubt
have
it.
the same kind of culture? I doubt it. Like, actually, I remember one time being inspired just by the thought of like, oh, well, in Italy they do business, but like they like mix like business and pleasure in a way that's like, okay, well, if we have to meet, let's meet, but like let's have a 7 course meal as we meet about this thing. And I was like, I'm gonna do more of that. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Of all the business meetings and lunch meetings and
Mhm.
dinner meetings I've had,
Mhm.
there is no attention on the moment in this
Mm.
country, and there's no attention on often being kind to servers.
Mm.
There's
Mm.
no appreciation for the food you're being served. It
Yeah.
is all like this
All
performative
business.
thing to
Yeah.
get through whatever conversation needs to be had. And I don't know. I want more intentionality, right? Like I need a
Yeah.
broader spectrum than the only thing that matters is my job title and my salary. Because no, I
Yeah.
just can't. It seems
Yeah.
it seems like we're trying to oversimplify humans and just make them into little cogs.
Yeah, and we're reducing the human experience, right, to this artificial thing, and the human experience can be so much more robust. And we're letting, I don't even know what the impetus really is, but we're letting this narrative kind of rob us of what could be such a beautiful life too, right? By reducing ourselves and being a participant in that. But where does that come from? And I think that's where my mind has been going, is like, why was I compelled to do this? Why did I fall for it, right? Like, why did I think that this was a script that I needed to follow? And I think it comes down to some very human things of like wanting to feel like you belong, wanting to be accepted, wanting security, all of those very human things. And so it makes me think again more about like how do we get more centered and grounded in our sense of self to where we would never, sacrifice the full robustness of life for kind of like what would you call it? Kind of like an illusion of sorts, right?
This made me think of a conversation that we had when we first met, like early on during
Mhm.
our lovely, lovely conversations that have only gotten lovelier. We both talked about having answered the same question that you often get asked in the job interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? And we both had the same answer of happy. Which I think back then, I
Yeah.
think the people who were older than us interviewing us were like, oh my God, idealistic youth. But it still resonates with me, right? Like, it is more
Mhm.
important to me that I am happy than I have a 10,000 square foot house because, oh my God, I would not want to be responsible for finding people to clean it or cleaning it myself. Or why would I AC all that space in Texas because it is inhospitable in Texas without AC?
Realities. Yeah.
Yeah.
The realities versus the illusion
Yes.
and the delusion. Yeah, and also the delusion of getting all of those things, right? And then do those people actually find happiness? And I think this is the biggest thing for me is that every lie that we're told or this illusion or narrative that's been spun for us or has been presented to us, like this illusion only works. The bait only works. You only take the bait because somehow there has been this, false connection made between basically money, wealth and happiness.
Yep.
And for me, I've always seen cracks in that where I was like, nah, that's not real because you see all of these people who are like rich and famous and amazing, like, and then they're like, struggling with all kinds of
So
addictions and
many things.
mental health issues and,
And
depressions
loneliness.
and loneliness and suicidality and like all these things. And you're like, that's not checking. That's not checking for me. So, I think that's one of the reasons why when I was even younger, like I remember people asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say happy because
Yeah.
I'm like, these people are not happy. I'm like, I don't know if it's money. I don't know if, because I grew up in poverty, basically. Like I'm looking around, I'm like, these people in poverty ain't happy. The rich
Yep.
people ain't happy. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's what I'm gonna try to figure out because, you need enough money obviously to like support yourself and have stability and all of that good stuff. Um, but it's so much more than that. And and frankly, you can have all the money in the world, it's not gonna solve for happy actually. That doesn't
Nope.
bring you peace automatically, it doesn't bring you happiness automatically. Like one person put it this way, they said that, the more money you have, the more it magnifies your state of being.
Oh,
And
like that
yeah.
90s movie that said, more money, more problems. So
Exactly.
I,
But I mean, that's if you already have those problems, right? Like, if you're
yeah,
already insecure, having a bunch of money is not going to solve that. You're just going to buy a bunch of fancy clothes and fancy cars, and you're going to try to like, continue to get external affirmation from people. That's not going to fill the hole inside of you.
yeah. And you're going to
Um,
assume that everybody who gets involved with
mhm,
you is there
mhm.
for your money and not for your
Exactly. And that's where the
self.
loneliness really comes in because a lot of times
Yeah,
it's true. I mean, people are so obsessed with money, they want to get yours so that they can feel the external validation too, so it's the hamster wheel type of thing. It just keeps going. And so, I keep going back to the idea of like the way out is in. And when we talk about success, like, I just feel like we need to find a new word entirely. Like, success for me is such a word that is like completely dripping with expectations of work and dehumanization.
And
that
also like a societal thing, right? Like may not be what
exactly.
the individual determines
Yes.
as success, but society is determined by success. I don't know about
Yes.
you, but I don't have the time to like fix society.
Oh, I wish I did. I gave up on that a little while ago, but I mean, I've literally had to work through that because,
Yeah,
I've seen so much injustice in my life as a child, even that I was like, justice. I need to be a lawyer. I need to fix the world. Like, I wanted social, I was like, ooh, social justice is even better than individual justice. Let's do it. And then I was like, world justice. Ooh, that seems like a lot. And I had to pull myself back from all of that and say, what kind of impact can I have as one person? And
yeah,
if everyone did that, that would be a different world. And I like that idea. And so I stay there. I stay where I can have impact that I can see, and an impact that's still going to help me have that balance. And so, like you said, I think that success is a matter of who defines it, right? Like, are you trying to achieve a success that's defined by society? That is actually literally like, society has an interest that is not necessarily aligned with your interests, right? Or is success something that you're defining for you? Like the French said, like, success is being able to have leisure time and spend time with the
mm,
people you love and do the things that you
yeah,
love. Like, I love that concept of success, but also it makes me think again that, like, even that was so vague. It didn't say like you need to be making $500,000 a year, you need to have this kind of car. Like, it wasn't specific, right? It was like,
right.
what do you love to do? Who do you love to be with? What do you want to spend your time doing? That could mean anything. That could mean you love reading in your room and being with a
Yep,
book and hot cocoa. It could mean you want to travel the world. It could mean that you just want to be with your partner for most of the day. You want to work 2 hours a week. You want to go to the beach every day. Like, I mean, it could mean anything in the world. And so I think that's the part where it's like we get lost in a cycle of chasing something that is a dream we never even created. That's the
have
scary
you
part.
has success and how you define success changed from the time you graduated law school to now?
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I never thought that I would ever be like a corporate lawyer. Like, so let's not get that twisted. Like, I never thought like I'm gonna work for the man and, like all of those things. Like, I was never that person ever. I wanted justice. I wanted social justice. But like my idea of success back then was like, oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna change society. Like, I thought I'm gonna do something. I mean, I never even articulated it truly, but I just was like, I love social justice. I want to be somewhere where we're like doing impact litigation, or we're like changing laws, or we're like just making such big moves and making things change and shifting things for the better. Um, but, even though all of those things would be fulfilling, when I really got a taste of all of those things, it was more frustrating than fulfilling to me. And so,
Interesting.
and the only reason I say that is because it's not that like the wins aren't incredible. It's just like you get a sense for how painstaking that work really is when you're up against such ingrained institutions that are racist, that
Mm,
are, completely oppressive. That, I mean, it's very much like a David Goliath type situation, right? And
mm-hmm.
the wins are far and few and in between, and you have to see so many people suffer. And that's the part that I really couldn't take as like a highly sensitive person. I remember going to a courtroom where somebody was being sentenced in a criminal law court, and I about lost it because I was like, I could see them shivering, like quivering and
Oh,
shaking. And like, I was so afraid for them. Even now, it like brings up emotions for me because I was
oh,
like, I don't know what's going to happen to this person. And I didn't even know this person.
yeah.
So, it was a lot for me. But at the same
Ugh.
time, like, the success that I imagined was like, I would be a lawyer. People would respect me too, you know?
Let me do a quick PSA.
Hmm.
Being empathetic, like Cynthia just described, is a good thing, and we shouldn't feel bad about it because society taught us to feel bad about it. But it is valid to feel empathy towards people that we do not know.
Yeah,
In fact, I would
absolutely.
say it's a good thing. But just my
I
quick
would too.
clarification.
No, yeah, I think my empathy I have recognized as, like as a power that I
Yeah,
covet. Like I
absolutely.
appreciate it. But it's also can be something that will be crippling if you don't know how to really set proper boundaries, right? Like if you can feel all the pain in the world at
Hmm.
any time, like that can be, devastating. So you have to do what makes sense for you, and that's what I mean by individuation, or an individualized definition of success, right? Like for
Yeah.
somebody who can go through that system and they get life from like fighting the good fight every day, and like Godspeed to them. Like I love that for them.
Yeah.
And that's something that I realized too when I was in that space. I was like, there are people who can do this, like people who are built for this.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, that doesn't feel good. Like I would go to court. I had a, a position where as an attorney, I would go and litigate sometimes. And even though I didn't do it every day, when I would go and I would have to prepare for it, it would make me feel sick, even though I could do it and I could even win. I could be
Mm.
successful. I could be good at it, all of the things. Like it didn't feel good to me. It made me feel stressed. It made me feel anxious. It made me feel like we're doing something very aggressive and adversarial, like, and that's just not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in spaces where I could be creative and collaborative and truly like, make things to better the world. And so I found my path by tuning in to what I was really experiencing. And I think that's the interesting thing about defining success for yourself is that what does it really look like for you, right? Like, what does it feel like?
But
What,
also,
yeah, all those things.
imagine if we taught kids, because I think when we were in college and applying for law school, we were kids, to
Mm-hmm.
listen to themselves, right? Like what you described of like
Mm,
the internal physical manifestation of what was happening, doing a job that you loved and doing a job that you were good at, but your body was
mm-hmm.
like, hello, hello, no, right? Imagine if we listened to that.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be
Mm-hmm.
wild?
Absolutely. No, I would love that for folks because I remember being a kid and thinking, well, there's only a couple things that, are really gonna make me successful and get me respect and things like that. Like, I mean, even before I feel like it was like pre-verbal, if that makes any sense. Like, I never verbalized it. Like, I never sat there thinking like, oh, I need to get respect and I need to get money. Like, you just get so many signals from society. And as a child, like, you don't even have even the words to articulate what's happening to you or what you're experiencing. You just internalize and you think like, okay, well, I gotta go big. I gotta, do this thing. I gotta get there. I gotta set myself up for this or that or whatever. But so often we have no idea where we're going. We just know that someone told us that this was the right way to go. So yeah, I would love to have everyone get to that place where they're really listening to themselves and having so much self-reflection that like they find a path that actually aligns with who they are and not what other people want them to be.
Isn't that the most important thing? Like, I think, especially when I was young, I think I responded to people who said, oh, you're doing such a great job, or wow, you're so good at this, or wow, what a career, as opposed to my own voice inside of me who was like, I like solving puzzles, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to remove like the human element.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that perhaps tax law would be the choice for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, no, I like actually writing the laws. That's much more fascinating to me, solving it at the root. But it wasn't because somebody told me that was a good choice. It was because I figured out that on my own and listened to myself. And
Right.
that was
Right.
like
Right.
game changing. I don't like using that expression too often, but it did. It changed the focus and view of my life and focus and view of how I viewed success.
It was life changing.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing that I wish people would talk about more because honestly the other part that or I guess just something that I'm noticing is when you talk in that way, I feel like it's something that the framing has never really, I've never heard anybody talk about it that way, I guess. So, people talk about what they like and what they gravitated towards or whatever, but I just feel like whenever I would ask people in law school, especially like, again, people that I thought like they're so successful, they're doing these amazing things, like, how did you get where you got? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, like, oh, I did some self reflection. And I really like tuned in to what was, speaking to me and what would align with my values and things like that. People are always like opportunity, and then I got this opportunity, and then I met this person, and like they talk about the logistics of it all, but they also don't talk about whether or not they're even happy in that position. Which honestly, like not honestly, but like literally, I'd never thought to ask either. Like even though that was my goal to be happy, I would assume that these people are happy because they're doing work that's important, impactful work, and that's what I wanted to do. Right. And so I love the idea of just literally shifting the focus from like this concept of success to what's right for you and who are you and what can you do that will actually align with who you are and what impact you want to have in life.
Wow, that like took my breath away. So important, right? And it's not only important to kids, it's important to all of us at every
Any
moment,
age, at any age,
any
yeah,
age,
any
right? Like
chapter of your life, yeah, because you
makes me think of
change.
you do.
Hmm.
And we have to be open to that. Like I think about Willie Nelson, who started karate at
Mm,
60 and got a black belt at
yeah,
80. Like,
yeah.
hello, that is in my head. Or that Martha
Hmm.
Stewart started a business, her first business at like 55. Like,
Yes, yes. I think Tina
everybody
Turner didn't start like doing rock music until she was 40 because she got to do what she wanted finally.
see, like
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though everybody wants to race towards a destination, or they're
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thinking about the destination but not the journey to get there.
Mm.
And I, I would like to think that we can enjoy the journey as well. And the journey might take us to a totally different destination, and that's okay.
I mean, it's more than okay. I feel like that's the exciting part of life to me.
Right?
I feel like if I had known that this was my path, where I am today or what I'm doing today, it would almost not be as fun. Like it's so fun to look back and be like, oh, like this is how this, connected to that. And like it's just such a cute little like jigsaw puzzle that you could have never imagined what the result would be at this point. And there's still, so much more to come, hopefully. So
There is, and I hope that we can impact other people to start thinking what they really want and what they really want in life and in their relationships, right? Maybe it's not even success as it relates to our jobs and
Mhm.
careers and salaries, but the people we have in our life, and whether or not they're keeping us happy and we're making them happy, and people are improving and getting
Mhm.
better.
Mhm. Or just like, what is important to you now? Because I feel like the other thing is like we are judging each other by the same kind of like, measuring sticks, and that just doesn't
Hmm.
work. Because everybody is at a different place in life. Everyone has different, priorities, period. Like they have different priorities. Like you might think that somebody in their, I don't know, 30s should be, interested in starting their retirement planning or whatever. But like, whatever it is, like, you can do what you want to do because it is what is actually going to bring you real joy. And I think one of the big things at the center of all of this is, are we doing it for ourselves? Or are we doing it for others?
Oh, so important.
And sometimes it's hard to tell. That's the part that's really, kind of shocking to me. And in a way, it's like you might think you're doing something for yourself because it's what you want to do, but you don't realize, like, actually, that's just internalizing other people's expectations of you to make you feel like that's what you want to do. So it's not easy. It's not easy to distinguish. But, you know, the other part is, like you said, listening to yourself I think it's every step of the way, right? So it's like
Absolutely.
you can go one step in this direction and you might think that this is what you want, but even if it's something that came from elsewhere, if it sparks something in you, then maybe it is the right path. If it doesn't, okay, maybe you go back and look inside and think, what else? Start to feel your way to what else is pulling you, what else is attracting you, what else is sparking something for you, because that moment I think is not something that happens, once in your 20s when you're deciding what to major in, right? It
No, no.
happens.
Wouldn't that be sad? That's only like what, a fifth of your life, probably. That's crazy.
Exactly. It'd be like when somebody's, like the dystopian societies where they just hand out your life's job, like this is who you will be, and that's the end, you know.
Yeah.
That would be very sad. But that's what's so rich and vibrant about life is like you are constantly changing. So the possibilities are constantly changing. And it's kind of reminds me of the other thing. It's like once you start, up a mountain, you can only see so far until you're at the top of that mountain, and then you can see the next mountain that you want to climb, or the next path you want to go down, or the next space you want to explore,
Yeah.
so it's just being really self-aware and reflective at every step, I think, can really change it. And then having your goals set on, like, what's going to bring you joy in the long term. Like, if you know helping people, I don't know, acquire more businesses makes you happy, that makes you happy. Like,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Like, it's just a matter of doing it for you and not doing it for anybody else. Because when people admire, what I have found is when people admire someone, like you were saying, people will give you praise and say, wow, what a great career you have, and all of those good things. Usually, they don't care about you or your
No.
career. Like, usually, they're just projecting, like, wow, I wish I had that, or I had
Yep.
something like that. And I've noticed this in myself too, like even with silly things, not silly things, but like little things like hairstyles. I remember, like, seeing people with like really short, cute hair, and I would be like, oh, I wish I could pull that off. It's so cute on you. And, like I would always admire people with that short hair. And then one day I got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna get there. Like, and I eventually got there. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I just really wanted to do that.
Oh,
But it was a
yeah.
projection of, like, admiring versus having an understanding of, like, that's speaking to me. That's something that I want, and I think it's that simple as like being mindful and like aware of just like what is sparking something in you, what is pulling your attention, what is making you excited. Like I remember talking about like real estate one time, and I was like, why is this making me so excited to talk about real estate? And somebody was like, because like it can be exciting, like it means so much, like what you can do with it, and where it can take you,
Yeah.
and all of these things. And I was like, yeah, like I never thought that I would be so excited for real estate, but it's those kinds of things where it's like you just have to listen to yourself and notice and trust. I think that we don't trust ourselves. I think that's another big part of it, is like we buy into this idea of success, society's idea of success, because it's a lot scarier. Like, it's easier to go with the herd than to like have an independent thought that's wildly different than what everyone else is thinking. That's scary, right? Like, that's dangerous in a lot of ways. And so it's safer to just go along with everyone else.
I am a person who believes in speaking their goals, whether or not I speak them to myself or to others. But as I've gotten older, I have refined who I speak these goals to, right?
Mm,
Because oftentimes people who are not happy with themselves will try to tear down your goals.
yeah.
I remember being I guess, 17-year-old coming to a university, having a meeting with the president of the College of Engineering, and I explained that I want to get an engineering degree, then I wanted to go to law school, and proceeded to get a 20-minute lecture on how horrible lawyers are. And so at that point in time, it really clamped me down on speaking my goals.
Mm,
I have since evolved and realized that this is not a me problem, this is a them problem,
mhm.
and have learned to be more cautious about speaking my goals. But I think when you have a good group of people that you love and trust and want the best for you, like truly want the best for you, it is a wonderfully safe space to speak your goals. And for me, that helps me listen to myself and achieve those goals.
Yeah,
And
and
I
that's
don't want people to be afraid of doing that with the right group,
mhm.
because I
Right.
think the instinct is to no longer tell people your goals.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's a tricky one too because I learned at some point that like when you speak your goals, the people who want to help you will actually help you get there faster, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I started telling everybody everything, like I want to do this and that and the other things, you know. But you're right, there are people out there who basically will try to sabotage you in every
Oh yeah.
way. And it's just a reality. I mean, I wish it wasn't so, but it most definitely is. And I have learned the same lesson of being more cautious. And the other thing that I'm learning is that we have to be careful who we just let in our, in our bubble, if you will, because not everybody looks like an enemy either, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is the really hard part for me because I feel like I'm a person who I don't know, I'm working through it with my therapist on why, but like I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I just think the best of everyone at first, and even though I know that people are can be untrustworthy and can be cruel and all of the things, like I've seen it all, but I don't know. There first. I think it's coming from the idea that I wish that people would give me the benefit of the doubt because people used to judge me, and I'm sure still do, by my appearance or by whatever. Like, I mean, I'm just so used to people like prejudging me without knowing me that I think that that's
Yeah.
where that comes from. Where I don't want to do that to anybody else. I don't want them to feel the way that I felt, right?
Yep.
So I give people this benefit of the doubt. I assume that they're like good, genuine people because, that's how I think of myself. That's how I feel I present to people and strive to. But the reality is, not everyone is that way. Not everyone deserves that trust. And not only do they not deserve it, but it's actually dangerous to give it sometimes. So now I really wish for discernment. I heard this beautiful thing, I think in a Buddhist book I'm reading about the concept of like having your hand be a symbol of service and having an eye in the hand to remind you of like discernment and insight specifically. And that symbol has been in my mind ever since because like I've always gotten the service part. I've always wanted to be of service. I've always wanted to make the world better. But the eye is so important. The insight is so important because if you don't have insight, you might be serving the wrong purpose. You might be serving the wrong cause. You might be serving the wrong people to get to what you're actually trying to do to have the impact that you're actually trying to have.
Wow, that is so powerful. Like I think of my friends who I've seen martyr themselves
Mm-hmm. For the firm,
for the
for the
firm,
whatever, the company.
for the cause, for whatever it
Mm-hmm.
might be. And
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't help them. It doesn't serve the greater good. It doesn't help others see a way to achieve what the greater good is, because I want to make people aware that you do not need to sacrifice yourself for any form of success. And I think if you're sacrificing yourself, we have not defined success appropriately.
Yeah, not only that, but like if we have a culture of martyrdom, where does that leave us? But with
With
a bunch
nobody
of
left.
sacrificed goats, you know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah,
Like we can't be all sacrificial goats. Like that's not going to help nobody. And not only that, but
exactly.
another big lesson that I've learned is like you think that you're saving somebody or that you're even helping somebody by being of service, but a lot of times when you're giving your all for someone else's life, you're actually denying them their own. You're denying them their
Oh,
lesson, you're
yes.
denying them their path, you're denying them their independence, their growth, their evolution. Like, if you're doing everything for them, how are they going to do anything at all? And now you've literally martyred yourself for what? For somebody to be lost in the woods alone? Like, that doesn't even help them at the end of the day.
Wow. Which is just a nice reminder that when we are thinking about success for ourselves, think about how it's affecting you because you are the person who has to live with it.
Exactly. That was an insight that I got early on in my life. I think as a teenager, I used to tell grown adults whenever they would criticize my choices, I would say, well, I have to live with my choices and you have to live with yours. So
Yeah.
it's most important to me. My choices are most important to me. Your choices are most important to you, And so, you know, the other part about this though is I think the tricky part about martyrdom is that we really feel like you get a little like I mean in scientific terms like you're going to get dopamine, you're going to get like a little blast of reward center stuff, like when you help other people it feels good.
Yeah.
And that's where like I say the insight has to be there, like you really have to be intentional about where you're putting your energy and your time, and frankly, you have to really, be mindful of the destruction that you're doing to yourself, if that's a thing, right? So if you're
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention to all of those things, then you're really going to end up in a place that you didn't want to be. Nobody wanted to be. And so, again, it goes back to self-reflection. It goes back to insight. So I wonder for you, Tessa, like as you're going through, not just your career, but your life on whole, um, what has been the thing that has offered you real insight in terms of like, you know, what direction was right for you versus what maybe society or people kind of were trying to push you towards?
I would say I have learned to trust my instincts and listen to them more, even if it's just the faintest little rumbling inside. I listen to them and I pause and give time for that reflection. I think I was able to get to that point probably earlier because of being a foreigner in this country and not caring that people didn't like that I spoke a different language, right? I think having that from a young age instinct to not care what people think about me
You had
helped
to
a
learn
lot.
that resilience early on.
I
Yeah.
learned, and that I think is probably step one to get to the point to trust your instincts, right? Because you have to be
Hmm.
able to knock out all the noise to listen to your mind and body tell you what
Mm.
is good for
See,
you and what
that's really
success means.
important. That's really important to like how do you knock out all the noise? To me, and I remember saying this as a young person too, thinking there's a lot of distraction out here. Like I always used to be like thinking of, the people in the middle of Times Square and being like, good God, like lights, whistles, sound, like like just that's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm just like, why are we so distracted? Like why, not even why, but it's just noticing like we are so distracted. And I mean, I've been knowing the why, but I wonder how you get there. So like I understand that people, would judge you from a young age and all of that. And like I said, I had a lot of prejudgment on me as well. And I think that did help me to have to like, struggle past that. But I also wonder like there's still so much noise in the world. There's still so much,
Mm-hmm.
prejudgment that gets placed upon us. There's still so much, unfair perception and all of those things. And so I wonder, like, today, what do you do to like tune out that noise and intentionally
It's
connect with
this.
yourself and listen to your intuition? How do you actually do that?
I had a law professor named Richard F. Richards, and he was an expert in employment discrimination. He said on repeat, always assume incompetence.
Mm.
Well, in my early 20s, and my idealistic Swedish mind was like, well, this sounds awful. But once I got out into the real world, it was a wonderful lesson because it
Mm.
allowed you to communicate better because you are explaining what you need in a way because that is more helpful to the other person because you're not assuming that they understand what you're saying, one,
Mm.
but also you're removing expectations from yourself because you're
Mhm.
not expecting them to either read your mind or expecting them to react in a way that is helpful. You're making it more collaborative. And third, I think it really helps us understand that we're all on this journey ourselves, right? Like we are all individual cogs if we want to think about it. And we can choose our own fate if we want to spin counterclockwise or north south or east west or northwest southwest, whatever we want to do to spin our little cog. And that we have agency over it to make those choices. And so
Mhm.
now when I'm confronted with somebody who, like, say I spoke to somebody who's been in my field for decades longer than I've been alive, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, this person really knows, I should ask them for advice. Then you realize that they are going to give you the advice that works for them.
Yep.
They are not necessarily giving you advice that works for you. And that's where I have Richard F. Richards' voice in my head going, Tessa, assume incompetence, because I no longer place people on pedestals. I
Mm.
understand that they have experience, but what their experience is not necessarily transferable to me. And that is not right, and that is not wrong. That is just life. And it doesn't devalue their success, and it doesn't devalue my success. It's that understanding that we must pick and choose the information that we allow to root in ourselves. Because
Mhm.
once it gets in there, sometimes it's really hard to clean out the weeds, and
Mm.
you want to just rip them out, but it takes time,
Yeah.
and it is a practice that may occur daily.
And that's one of the things that really helps me when I'm struggling with, you know, figuring out what I want. I think that's the other part in general is, if you don't know what you want, then you're not really, going to get it. And
Yes.
so, one of the things that I've started to do is like question everything that comes up for me.
Mm-hmm.
So just being critical minded, I think can be really helpful too, because like, let's say, you come up with the idea that I want to be a lawyer. Okay.
Yes.
Most people in
Okay.
society are going to encourage you and be like, yay, you want to be a lawyer, you're following the script, good job. Like everyone's going to love that. They're going to love it. But if you stop for a minute and just say, like, where is that coming from? Just ask yourself, where is it coming from? Like, is it coming from my need for, I don't know, for money? Is it coming from what my mom always wanted me to do? Is it coming from the idea that, people are being denied justice? I want to be a part of that movement. I want to be a part of the justice movement, whatever it is. Whatever it is, you have to know why you're choosing to do that. So, one of the things that we find is people often feel like they have to do something, right? Like they have to, I don't know, whatever. They have to go to church. They have to lend people money. They have to, write every week, whatever it is. Like it could be literally anything that you're telling yourself you have to do. But
Or
if
your
you're
parents
changed,
did it, or your sibling
yes,
did it.
yes,
Yep.
so I have to. I mean, you have a family business. I have to take it. We can't let that just be destroyed after 3 generations. Like, and I mean, there's so many obligations that come through, right? Even the idea of like, well, my parents never got the opportunity to do this. Now I have to do it, for them, whatever it is. If you really like kind of tip that on its head and you say, instead of I have to do this, I'm choosing to do this because, then it becomes, first of all, you taking your power into your own hands and making a conscientious choice. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is like the conscious versus the subconscious. A lot of us are moving through the world without knowing why we're moving the way we're moving, right? Like it could be so many reasons, but they're very subconscious.
So just bringing
Yeah.
consciousness to it. So, what's something that you hate to do? You don't feel like you want to do it, but you think you have to do it. If you can think of that thing in your mind and say, I choose to do this because of this, then that can help you decide whether or not it actually is something that's from you and for you, right? So like even if it's like, okay, I don't want to go, I don't know, go flip burgers today, but I'm going to do it because I have to. If you said instead, I'm choosing to show up to work today because I need this, $15 an hour in order to, I don't know, fix my car or pay my light bill or eat or, I want a new pair of sneakers or whatever it is. It just becomes empowering in that like you're making the choice. You're doing it because you want this thing or you want that thing or you're looking for an experience or whatever it is. And then you have ownership of it. And I think that makes a huge difference when we talk about success. It's like, are you doing it because somebody wants you to do it? Because you can get success and it can feel empty as hell because
So
that
true.
wasn't your success. It wasn't your definition of success, right? You did it because somebody else wanted you to do it, right? But you weren't honest with yourself. You said, I want to do that. Well, you wanted external affirmation, really, right? So
Yep.
if you think about like, I'm doing this, I choose to do this, I choose to go to law school because whatever it means to you. Why did you choose to go to law school, right? Like, I choose to give up my law license because I choose to work, at a nonprofit because like whatever it is, like you can decide anything that you feel like is an obligation is actually a choice. If you reframe it, then I think you get closer to what success is for you because you're either doing something that you want to do because you want something from it, or you'll find out that actually I'm doing this for somebody else. I'm got to do that. I don't need their
Yeah.
affirmation, right? So just being inquisitive in that way could help, I think.
I think that is an excellent way of explaining how to listen to your own needs. And
Hmm.
I love that because it gives everybody the tools to figure out who is behind this action that I'm about to take.
Yeah, yeah, and then it actually gives you a real motivation. So, like, if you decide, okay, well, I'm doing this because I want money, or I'm doing it for the money, and that's the only reason I'm doing it, and then you realize one day, actually, I don't need that bit of money. I can make money a different way that I actually enjoy.
Surprise!
Then it
There's many
changes
ways to do
everything.
this.
Yeah, like you're
Yeah.
literally over here doing something you don't want to do when you could be doing something you do want to do. And credit to this book I'm reading on nonverbal communication, I think is what it's called. And, they talk about how to speak to others with nonverbal communication. But I love this part about like how we speak to ourselves, and how we frame things for ourselves. Because so often we're walking around being upset about the things we do in life or like just begrudgingly like, I gotta go to work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And it's like actually you're choosing to do all of those things. Like
Yep.
there are other choices. There are definitely other paths. And if you really feel stuck, like this is your only choice, even if you think about it, reframe it as like, okay, well, I choose to do this job until I can get enough money to, go to school or get another skill or whatever. Like I'm doing it because it's going to get me to the next step. That is also empowering because it shows you like you're defining your own path. And that's so much more
Yeah.
empowering than I have to do this. I have to go here. I have to do that.
Absolutely. And I hope everyone feels empowered to listen to themselves, to ask the questions that Sai pointed out, because it's so important. And I feel for me, success is much fuller in my life when I'm doing it for me because it's what I want to do and not because society has assembled some sort of, you know, mathematical equation that means this is better than other things because it's not. No success is better than the other. It's just our own.
Yeah. And my last thought is nobody cares actually.
Yes, the Alexis rule from Schitt's Creek. Nobody is thinking about you the way you are
Nobody's
thinking about
really
you.
thinking about you. They really are not. They
Yeah,
don't care. The people who notice what you're doing, again, it's usually they want to do that. They like that.
yep,
They're drawn to that, and
yep.
they're excited about the fact that you did it because you're showing them a pathway to something they want to do, like for good and for
Representation
bad.
matters.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, but like literally, like go down whatever path you want because nobody
yes,
really cares. And even if you have
yes.
like, what is it called when your parents are really like, that have high expectations for you, even if you have like overbearing parents that actually really, are invested in the career that you choose or what have you, just remember that like that want for you is coming from a place of insecurity, really. Like
100%.
they're saying that they want this thing specifically because they believe that that is going to give you the life that you deserve and that they want for you. But that does not mean it's the only path. And frankly, I just believe if you find your own path and you are happy and secure, like they're going to be happy for you too. And other than them, honestly, nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention.
And as somebody who does her best to extricate themselves from her parents, it doesn't matter if your parents
It
want it
doesn't.
for you.
And it really
It
doesn't.
doesn't at all. That is
It
the
doesn't.
secret to this world. It doesn't
Yes.
matter.
And you have to live the life again, like the choices you make, you have to live with them, nobody else. So
Yeah.
your opinion is the one that matters the most. So
Yes.
never put anybody else's opinions about your life ahead of your own. Never. Don't even let them influence them, frankly. Like, because
Yeah.
you have to live with those. You have to live with those choices. And I always say you're the architect of your own life. I really believe that.
Absolutely.
I really
And
believe
it's
it. And I,
so liberating to make good
yes,
choices for yourself.
yes. When people are like, well, you don't get it, I'm poor, I have no choices, all those things. I just don't buy that because,
Nope.
I was in that boat and the truth is you always have a choice. You always have a
Yep.
choice. Like even if the choices are not that great, you have a
It's
choice
a
to
choice.
either, yeah, you have a choice to either like stay there or see this as a stepping stone to something else. And
Hmm.
so that's the way that I always looked at everything in life. When I knew that I wanted to get out of my hometown, when I knew I wanted to do, different things, bigger, whatever, like all the things that I had imagined at different points in my life, like I always just thought about like what is the next step to get closer to that? And what is the biggest like leap I can get to get closer to
Yeah.
that? And to be brave is another thing also that I want to say because I think so many times it feels safer when everyone's telling you to do a certain thing and it feels safe. It feels safe like, well, everyone's saying it, so I should probably trust them. If so many people believe that that's the right thing for me, it probably is. Um, I have just found the opposite to be completely transparent. I have just found the opposite. Like, I feel like, again, like what you said is so important. I don't want to gloss over it because usually when people are telling you something, it's because that it's just projection. It's what they
Yep.
think would be the safest thing for them. It's speaking to their fears. It's speaking to their insecurities. It's speaking to their worldview. It's speaking to their values. And so at the end of the day, again, like you can't operate from a place of living somebody else's expectations. Because if you do, you might end up, satisfying them, but that doesn't mean it's going to be satisfying for you.
Yes. And I hope that is everyone's takeaway from this, that your choices, your pleasure, your joy, your happiness on your terms.
Yes.
Because once you get to that point, it is like Christmas and Hanukkah and I don't know, all the other good days.
Your
65
favorite
degrees and
day of the
sunny.
season. Yes.
Yes. Or a strong thunderstorm if you love rain.
Mm,
It is absolutely amazing.
yeah. Yeah. We wish that for all of you, and we're here to support you along the way. So thank you for being you. Thank you for charting your own path. Thank you for being the only one of you that exists. We love you exactly for who you are, and we want you to love yourself for that reason too. And so until next time, stay uplifted, y'all.